Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So here we go, it's the start of May. I'm done my break that I've sort of taken throughout the last month here. And yeah, I'm ready to get back on it and actually talk about The Walking Dead and talk about some other shows as well. There's a couple shows that I've been watching that I do actually want to do some reviews on. And the first thing I want to talk about is what we just learned yesterday actually, and that is that The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live won't be eligible for, I guess, a limited series category at the Emmys. And so I want to talk about that and just sort of get into this whole thing here and just talk about the, just what the show sort of is in general and the whole limited series label with this show. So anyways, before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. I will be doing a Q&A video tomorrow. I know I asked like last week, but I've just taken a lot of time off. So if you do want to take part in these Q&As, definitely go and join the Discord. The server name is Appetite for the Dead. The link for that will be in the description of this video. I usually ask for questions there, and yeah, I do it every single Wednesday. This week here, I'll try to get through most of the questions and all of that. Tomorrow is Wednesday, which happens to be May 1st, so I'll do the Q&A tomorrow for the start of the month. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about with The Walking Dead, a lot of things that I've missed. There's a lot of stuff with The Ones Who Live, especially with Daryl Dixon and Dead City. And Daryl Dixon, it looks like the release date for that is most likely going to be in July or August, but we'll talk about that in future videos. So let's actually talk about this here. So I'll leave a link down below to the actual article. This comes from variety.com. The headline here says, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, not eligible for Emmys limited series category. Will submit as drama. So if you do remember, that was sort of the whole thing with this limited series idea is, like calling it a limited series and going through all of that here. Basically, like the whole point of it was that, they wanted it to be nominated for awards and all of that, because the thing is, if The Walking Dead is nominated for awards and it wins awards like Emmys and stuff, then obviously that's really good for the franchise. And I do think that's like such a big part to, doing a new series or a season 2. Like, if The Ones Who Live, gets nominated and we see Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrera at the Emmys, I guess that would be next year, right? I'm not sure when the Emmys are. Is that like later on this year or when is that? I always thought it was like early of the year after. So I'm assuming it's going to be at some point next year. And then, yeah, which would take us close to like a year after The Ones Who Live came out. And I feel like a season 2 or the announcement of a new series could come around that point. Like, say they actually won an award or like whatever, right? I could see them totally announcing something else like that, like with the release of that, because again, they are doing something else right now. It's just one of those things where we don't know, what shape or form it's going to be in right now, right? Like everyone has expressed, the openness to coming back and reuniting with like Daryl and everyone else here. It's just sort of, how do you do it and all of that? Denai Guerrera is not really answering questions with that. She's just like, I can't say anything, this and that. So, I feel like the most obvious choice here is to do probably a new series. I don't think they'll ever have those characters come back in like The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon season 4 or 5. Like, to me, that's just kind of a lot to do stuff like that. I think having a new series is something that Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrera are going to want, right? Like, they're probably going to want to have their own story, be the showrunner of that show and run everything sort of like, basically what they did with The Ones Who Live. So I think that's probably what is likely going to happen here. And it's very interesting that The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live is technically, not a limited series. And I will say that it does make sense. Like, it's not really a limited series in that sense, at least, as it was defined by Variety. So in this article right here, this one quote here, it says, in 2021, the Television Academy defined what constitutes a limited or anthology series, stating that the story must be resolved within its season without any ongoing storylines. The criteria affected past winners such as the second season of The White Lotus, which was required to compete as a drama due to Jennifer Coolidge's recurring character. According to the Academy's ruling at the time, the reappearance in a subsequent season of one character from a large ensemble does not prohibit eligibility based on the main criteria for a limited series. So it looks like because we have characters from like The Walking Dead and, because it looks like, The Ones Who Live, yes, there is a conclusion to that story, but it's not necessarily the end of Rick and Michonne's story, right? Like, we're going to see them again at some point in the future. Because of all those factors, it's not really a limited series. Like, yes, in a sense, it's a story, but it's almost a chapter to a story, right? Like, it's just this part to the overall story. So it's not really a limited series in the sense that, of what a limited series is, which is basically 6 episodes or 10 episodes or whatever it's going to be. And in that first episode, you just meet the characters for the first time, and then the story wraps up in, that 6th or 8th, 10th episode or whatever, right? Like Rick and Michonne were there for, however many seasons of The Walking Dead. And then you look at, the future, obviously, it seems like they're going to be back at some point again. So when you're looking at all of it, it makes sense. This was never going to be able to be in the limited series category because it technically isn't really a limited series just because of, where The Walking Dead is just in general, right? And I do think it is very, very interesting. So now, what's actually going to happen is it's not, at least according to the Emmys, it's not a limited series. So it's going to be a drama series. So it's basically what The Walking Dead is. I mean, it's a TV show at this point, right? And it is very, very interesting because now if they're going to be, if it's going to be in the drama series category, there's actually going to be other shows that it'll compete with, and it might even have an easier time winning the award. And this one quote or excerpt here from the article here from Variety says, "This reclassification could be a blessing in disguise, potentially increasing the show's chances for recognition. This year's drama category is far less competitive, with only one former nominee returning, Netflix's The Crown. Compared to the crowded limited or anthology series category, which will only have 5 nominees, the drama series category will recognize 8 series. Many other returning shows that have never been recognized by the TV Academy, including Apple's The Morning Show, HBO Max's The Gilded Age, and Disney Plus / Marvel's Loki, are seeking their first nominations. And so The Ones Who Live is going to compete with those shows. I feel like The Ones Who Live, in terms of writing and in terms of the actual story, I think it could definitely beat The Morning Show and Loki as well. The Gilded Age is so, again, I don't know what that show's even about. I have no idea. So maybe there's a lot more to that story there, where maybe that could actually be nominated for an Emmy, or not nominated, but could actually win. But I do think that's probably The Ones Who Live's only real competition, but that's if that show's actually good. And when you look at The Ones Who Live, the writing for episode 4 was very phenomenal. And overall, the series looked really incredible. The budget was very high, and it just looked overall really amazing. And what I will say is it's kind of interesting because AMC is going to be submitting all 3 spinoffs. So I'm not sure what's going to happen in that case, because if that does actually happen, then that would mean that all 3 shows are going to compete against one another. I don't know if that's the way it's going to work, or maybe maybe like the Academy, or not the Academy, but maybe the Emmys, they just choose one show kind of thing. I'm not entirely sure, but I actually do see something here in terms of the submissions that AMC is going to make for The Ones Who Live. And obviously they're going to be submitting it for Outstanding Drama Series, which would be really cool to see. Lead actor in a drama series, Andrew Lincoln. Lead actress in a drama series, Danai Gurira. Supporting actress in a drama series, Paulina McIntosh. Guest actor in a drama series, Matthew Jeffers. And then the list just kind of keeps going on in terms of the directing, writing, the main title, and just everything else. There's quite a bit. Actually, Andy Young, I believe I'm saying her name right. In terms of makeup and stuff like that, it looks like there was a submission made there, which is kind of interesting because that's where we saw the photo the other day, right? So that was very cool. But yeah, I hope that honestly that it does get nominated. I do feel like it's finally going to get nominated. There could be other shows that come out. I do think that the actual, I think Emmy submissions are due by May 9th. And so that's the next, 9 days from now, right? And so all the other shows, actually, yeah, it says right here, actually, from Variety, it says Emmy submissions are due May 9th, with the eligibility deadline for all series concluding their runs by May 31st. Nominations round voting runs from June 13th to June 24th. So I guess at some point afterwards, we'll find out, obviously, if it does get nominated. And I hope that it does get nominated. I really do. I think that it makes sense for The Ones Who Live to get nominated, especially when you're looking at all the other shows. Honestly, I just look at a show like Loki, and I look at The Ones Who Live, and I compare both of the shows. And I'm not saying Loki isn't a good show, obviously, but Loki, compared to The Ones Who Live, it's just not the same. I think that the writing for The Ones Who Live is much better. I think that the acting is much better. I think that the storylines in that show, just the visuals and everything are much better. Though I guess Loki does have pretty amazing visual effects. But you know what I mean? I just think that it makes sense that The Ones Who Live should for sure be nominated. If Loki is getting nominated and The Morning Show is getting nominated, The Ones Who Live should get nominated. And I think that this is the one time that The Walking Dead should actually get nominated for an award here. And I think that, to have Andrew Lincoln and Danai Gurira actually nominated as well for lead actor and lead actress in a drama series, I think would be really incredible and awesome for fans, because that's what we've wanted, right? We've always wanted The Walking Dead to be recognized in terms of that. You know, for me, I've gotten to the point where I don't really care. Like, if they don't get nominated this time, I will definitely be a little upset about it, just because it's like really, you know. But I've just over the years gotten to the point where I just don't care, because it just never happens. And I don't even really like, I look at the shows that have been nominated and I'm just like, I don't really get it. I don't get how The Walking Dead has just never been nominated, especially when you look back at like just the most amazing moments of The Walking Dead in terms of the writing and all of that, the acting from Andrew Lincoln. And I just, again, I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's never won an Emmy once, like nothing ever. Like, I find that so crazy. So I hope that does happen now. I hope that, you know, because there's not a lot of shows that have been out lately and you sort of look at its competition, I think that it should be nominated. And I actually think that there's a really good chance that it could probably win. You know, I actually do think there's a very, very high chance in that. And I think that'd be absolutely incredible to see Andrew Lincoln on the stage, or Denai Guerrera on the stage and accepting, you know, an award for that. And actually, I have to go look that up. Actually, yeah, I do see it right here. So, writing for a drama series, Denai Guerrera was actually, or was a submission actually made for her. So I really like that. And that's what I mean. For that episode and for that, you know, the writing there, I think that she has to be nominated, right? Like, in terms of writing an actual episode, there's so much in episode 4 that when you're going back to rewatching it, in terms of, it's a lot of the little things there. And again, the episode plays out like literally like a play, right? Like, there are so many things from the beginning to the end. Again, just a very phenomenally like written episode. It wasn't my favorite episode of the entire season, but in terms of writing, it's my favorite for sure. And I just think that she has to be nominated for this, like, at least, right? And I just think, I don't know, like, maybe I'm biased here, I have no idea, but I do think that it just, in general, out of all of these categories here, I could honestly really see The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live doing really, really good at the Emmys next year. More than I would say, you know, in previous years, where, you know, I don't know, I look at The Ones Who Live and I just look at how much it's improved overall compared to The Walking Dead. You know, I think the acting overall has been the same, but you just look at the quality, some of the writing, and just everything overall. And obviously there's been big improvements, right? And so I just think that next year at the Emmys, I think it could do really good. But anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.